call the meeting of Silver Falls School District to order. Attendance, order here. We got 2 out of state traveling that have trouble with the internet, and another one of the family obligations. Flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda review. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Moved in second to approve the agenda as published. Although, well, roll call. Who's taking the vote tonight?
Got that.
Got it.
It's taking forever to vote up.
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Phil.
Yes. Okay, and then the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved in second to approve the consent agenda. Brendan?
Yep.
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yep.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Phil.
Yes. Okay, now, this is the first public comment portion of the meeting. If you'd like to speak during the public comment and are attending virtually, use the hand raise feature in Zoom. If you're attending in person, please approach the public comment table located in front of the board. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. If attending remotely, raise a hand. For the record, please provide your name in relationship to the district. Please keep individual remarks to 3 minutes. If speaking as a representative on behalf of a group of 3 or more, may be extended to 5. Second public comment period will follow later in the meeting. There is specific discussions and action items only. The board will not hear complaints against individual district staff or board members during public comment. Please understand the board's primary role is to listen, and you likely will not receive an immediate response. Finally, remember we are all modeled the way our students and ask that you share your thoughts respectfully in accordance with the Silver Falls School District Board Decorum Agreement. Do we have anyone that? Come on up. Hi, please identify yourself.
Yes, I'm Inez Bradford. I'm the alternate education teacher at Silverton High School. I'm speaking on behalf of 3 people. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Brianna Baker. I guess you can introduce yourself.
I'm Brianna Baker. I'm a parent, and also I worked in the Alton classroom last year.
And Stephanie Monty, you couldn't be here, but gave us permission to speak on her behalf as well.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes.
Yes. All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, and
Okay.
Aaron will give you a heads up when
Okay,
it's close.
thank you. Okay. I'm here to discuss the alternative education program at SHS. The ALTED program has been a cornerstone of support at our high school, designed to provide interventions to high-need students who don't qualify for special education under the narrow legal standards. It represents the highest level of intervention we offer. Students are referred to ALTED to overcome barriers that hinder their educational access, such as trauma, mental health issues, lack of resources, homelessness, or a history of severe disengagement. Last year, I worked with nearly 70 students, developing personalized plans and addressing their unique challenges. My certification in trauma and educational communities equips me with specialized skills, but this work requires a team effort. Unfortunately, due to the budget crisis, the aide position for ALTED was cut for the 24-25 school year. Last year, Stephanie Monty and Brianna Baker served part-time in the ALTED room to maintain a safe environment. This year, I'll be managing these high-need students, some of whom express active suicidal ideation without an aide. This situation significantly compromises student safety and the quality of support we can provide. Although we have Sequoia for severe crises, not all students in need can be referred there immediately due to capacity issues or parent and student reluctance. Consequently, I often manage severe cases that are Sequoia level need or require additional time at SHS for intervention. With the aide position cut, I am left to handle a caseload nearly double that of other case managers, often without adequate support for emergencies or crisis situations. Last year, I was frequently pulled from the classroom for urgent matters, which may include surprise visits from DHS, communications with guardians and caregivers, social workers, and mental health providers. I might need to calm an upset student who is hiding in the bathroom, or one who is in their guardian's vehicle refusing to come inside due to severe anxiety. Because as their advocate and case manager, this is well within my role. A quick fix like calling the office for help might not always be effective, as demonstrated by past delays in finding assistance when we had an even higher staff-to-student ratio last year. There are nearly 20 incoming ninth graders from SMS and the K-8 schools already referred to my program, highlighting the growing need. Restoring the aide position is crucial for ensuring a safe and supportive environment for these students. I'm concerned that being the sole teacher in the classroom could pose a liability, which is why I urge SFSD and SHS to prioritize providing an aide for the LTED program. I appreciate Kirsten Jorgensen's efforts to find a solution and recognize that admin constraints make it challenging. However, addressing this need is vital for maintaining a safe and effective educational environment for our students. Thank you for your attention to this important issue.
Hi, can you hear me? Great. During the 23-24 school year, I worked as an instructional aide at Silverton High School 1 to 3 days a week. In this position, I supported students one-on-one with schoolwork, personal challenges, and celebrated their successes throughout the school year. Inez Bradford, the main teacher for the program, often needed to leave the classroom, and I would step in when she needed to attend meetings with administration, support students individually, make phone calls, or provide wraparound support. On days when neither Stephanie, Monty, nor I were present, immediate needs could not be met. Without another adult in the room, students and Inez wouldn't have received the support they deserve, both in the classroom and beyond. How can a teacher be effective if they need to be in 2 places simultaneously? It would be unsafe and a liability for the school if Inez were the only adult in the classroom, and additionally not allowing Inez to fully perform her job. The LTED classroom provides critical support for students in many ways, from clothing and food to a safe, reliable space to connect or to rest or connect with adults that care. Often students come into our classroom stressed, anxious, hungry, or struggling with issues such as food insecurity, housing, and transportation. Our days as educators in the LTED program were unpredictable. Some days one of us would spend supporting a student one-to-one, hours on the phone supporting a student trying to receive EBT services, extensive school and homework support, bringing a student food, helping a student find new clothes. The list was endless and each day different. In a sense, we are the front line of support for them, and the students know they can count on Mrs. Bradford to show up for them in every possible way. That happens because there are staff that care and build relationships with them. All that is possible because there's more than one adult in the room. I urge you to recognize the importance of a fully staffed LTED program at Silverton High School. These students deserve to be seen and cared for with the support of a main teacher and at least one other full-time adult in the classroom. The LTED program is often the last line of defense for many students' success, and not fully staffing it would be a significant
30
disservice
seconds.
to those needing such high support, as well as create a liability that I'm hoping you, as the board, can recognize and hope to avoid for the safety and the sake of these students' education. I'm happy to answer any questions or any other time. So I also have can I give this to you guys?
Can I ask a question, Bill?
Sure.
Just really brief. I know that class size doesn't really tell the story because the kids that are in your program have different needs. But how many periods a day does your program run, and about how many students are in each period? Well, in general.
Yeah. So we ran just like the gen ed classrooms. So obviously now we're in a 7-period day. And so last year I had, we had 4-period days, and I had 3 periods and a prep period. However, my room was never without students because my room has to be accessible to these students at all times due to their mental health issues or any other barriers they have to their education. So we had students in there from 7:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. when the school day ended. Yeah, so I never even attended lunch. I would have lunch with my students. Even to go to the restroom required another adult in the room. So yes, so I have, and right. And as far as how many students at one time, it may look on the roster that maybe I only have 12 students signed to that period, but because students can access me even outside of their period, so maybe they went to math, but they could only stay for the lesson and they are taking the assignment and they're coming back to me, we often have double that looks on the roster. So again, my caseload was about 70 last year. A few went to Sequoia, a few we graduated out of LTED, and then I absorbed a few more. So, but we have a huge incoming ninth grade class from the K-8s and SMS that I'm concerned about. So
And these are students who don't qualify for special education services?
yes, now they may have diagnoses. Many are on 504s, so they often do have diagnoses of ADHD, PTSD, other things, but as a teacher, the special ed requirements are often very narrow. And oftentimes these students with homelessness have moved so many times that we can't grasp their entire educational experience in order to fully see if they qualify for special education. And sometimes they're doing that in my program. They're actually being assessed for special education while they're going through the LTED program.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have one more. Is that okay, Phil? Just one. Sorry, Phil. It's not normal. I'm trying to get an operational question. So now it's just you, Inez, with the 70. So if you have to go to a DHS meeting, or is there nobody with the kids?
Well, last year I would have Brianna or Stephanie. There was one day where neither of them could be there. I think Stephanie was out or Bri couldn't be there. And actually that was the day that DHS came. And I was called immediately because the student refused to speak unless I was sitting by their side as their advocate. So it took about 15 minutes to call someone up from the library, and they came up and they said I have 5 minutes. And I said, so I left. I was down there for 45. I don't actually know what happened up in my room. I'm sure they figured it out, but that was when we had even more staff. We have 3 less in the office now that would be able to cover that. So again, DHS had to wait, and the student sat there crying, refusing to speak without me next to them. And these, I mean, Brianna could test, these are weekly things. They're not kind of one-offs, unfortunately. I really wish they were. But if you understand the crisis level that we have, when you have 1,300 students, these things happen weekly, if not daily, unfortunately.
Thank you, Inez.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Do we have anyone else?
Oh.
Please identify yourself and your connection to the district.
Yeah, my name's Ammon Sabo. I have a daughter at the middle school, and I'm a district-sponsored substitute. The only thing I wanted to say tonight was I actually wanted to invite the board members, all of you, to spend a day, half a day, or 3 periods, whatever you got, in the alt-ed classroom this year. I would testify to you that as a substitute, I can tell you I have limited experience here, but this bleeds into, don't think of this, what you just heard, as an alt-ed issue. This is a Silverton High School issue. These students go in and out of this classroom and go to other classrooms. So if they don't receive the proper support in that classroom, then that affects the other students and the other faculty members throughout these can cascade throughout the whole school, throughout the whole day. I would also submit to you that it is a safety issue for the students, for the staff. This is a no-fail area, in my opinion. So I would just invite you to spend a little bit of time in this classroom. I'd invite you to spend time in any classroom, and you'll see how important all of our aides are. But this is an area where I would strongly ask you to find the funding somewhere. This is a place where we just simply can't fail. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Do we have anyone online?
We have no hands raised online at this time.
Okay. Anyone here in the room? Okay, move on. Superintendent's report. Kim?
Okay. So I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce a couple new staff members. Tiffany Brownson has joined us as the Scotts Mills and Silvercrest principal, and so we're really excited to have her on board. She was a principal last year in Colton School District, and so we're really excited to have her. She's got K-12 teaching experience, which is kind of interesting, and she's also a resident of Silverton, so she's very familiar with our community, which is awesome. And so when you see her, give her a warm welcome. We're really excited to have her on board. And then I also wanted to introduce Anthony or Tony Rosiles. And Tony is going to serve as our assistant superintendent this year, and he has hit the ground running. And he is a wonderful addition to our administrative staff at the district office, and He brings a wealth of experience he was executive director at TSPC, so he knows licensure backwards and forwards better than anyone in the room, including myself. Defer to Tony. And he's got a lot of HR experience, so that's been really helpful as we've been working through some of these challenging staffing scenarios and situations as we're trying to provide coverage and just some of the things that you've heard here tonight. Like, those are challenging situations as we try to work to cover those things and make sure, because we do understand the complications of the budget issue, and we do feel for our staff. So we're trying to cover those as best we can. And so we're trying to be creative, and sometimes that is a little bit, it's very time consuming. I spent, was it all day today? Yeah, we were in meetings all day today trying to do some problem solving, just so you know. So if I don't immediately answer you, sometimes we're deep into a conversation about how do we move forward, how do we fix the things that are deficient or, not working well in the district with our budget complications. So I think it's an opportunity for us to use our best problem-solving skills, and I will say that our administrative staff worked in a collaborative fashion. They've spent a lot of time this summer trying to work through some of these issues and how can they help each other, and with staff and students at the forefront of every decision. So we're really trying hard, and it's not easy work. So I will say that. I wanted to let you know that we've looked through the curriculum options, and these are online options that support teachers, and we took a lot of feedback from administrators, and so we did add one piece of curriculum back in, and it was already budgeted for, so we're a little bit under in budget for software and online programs that support instruction. And so we did add Renaissance Middle School STAR reading and math assessment back into the mix, because it's really important for progress monitoring and for our middle school staff, but it was already budgeted for, so it was not an add-on. So I just wanted to make sure that, we're trying to be really transparent about everything. And we did not add the accelerated reader program this year for that, because it doubled the price. So when I reached out to him, I said, hey, I have this amount of money. And so, like, trying to really craft a system that will work for kids and staff, but that doesn't max out, any budget items. So we're trying to be really mindful about every single dollar we spend. Last thing I wanted to let you know and invite you to is that during in-service week, when the teachers and staff come back, we're going to have a kickoff breakfast. And we are working with some community partners to donate that meal for staff when they come back in. And I think that's really an amazing thing about Silverton and Silver Falls School District, is that people in our community are willing to help as they can. And so we're putting all that together. It's going to be a great celebration of bringing our staff back in. We're super happy that they're almost going to be back in buildings. And I think that would be a great opportunity, for you to come in and have a meal with us. And so you're invited to that, and I will send you an invite. And that is my update for the evening. Sorry it's not in written form, but
Do you have a date for the breakfast yet?
yeah, sure. It's I have that written down. Sorry, Josh. Thank you. 8/27, and it is at 8 a.m. And I'll send you guys a calendar invite.
Thank you.
All right.
Any questions about anything?
That was it.
Okay.
What about staff? Have we been able to add any staff back? Do we have? We talked about. Is that going to be in your report?
I can talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that, and actually we could let Tony talk about it too. We have, taken several people back off the recall list. So as positions have either been resigned or, resigned. Yeah. We are doing everything we can to bring teachers back off the recall list and other staff members. So that's our first priority, including, creating a long-term subsystem that allows, prioritizes teachers subbing in positions, but doesn't take them off the recall list. So if they came in and subbed for us long-term, we're trying to make that happen to provide extra income for them and consistency for kids, but leave their recall status in place. So we're just working on some of those systems to make sure we do everything we can to serve staff, and that's really good for kids too. You want to add anything to that?
Thank you. What I would add to it is that even in the few days I've been here, we've been able to contact several licensed staff and offer positions that are very important for students. Our classified staff, we're having many discussions about our classified staffing in order to support them, and that's, in my experience, that's normal because the classified staff have many different categories and levels of service to provide. But even in that area, we're still working on trying to get as many people off the RIF list so that we can get them recalled and then serving with kids. So we're going to continue to do that. I really want to take an opportunity to really thank the principals. Superintendent Kellison mentioned that the principals have been coming together for several weeks. Just in the week I've been here now, I think there's at least 3-4 times where I've had meetings with principals, and they've all, with kids first in mind, and then of course our staff second because they serve our kids. They've really come together to try to find innovative ways to make things work. We have a little bit to go, but we're making progress on that. And the recall list for licensed staff is getting very short now.
I think about 9
Yeah,
people.
there's
Yeah,
a handful now. They're primarily individuals with multiple subjects, elementary licenses. But we'll keep giving you an update on how that work goes.
That's great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Kim Dowd, Finance.
All right. Well, thank you all. Wanted to share with you, we've been working, our team's been really working diligently to close out the 2023-2024 fiscal year. We have a couple of final matters that are being taken care of, but anticipate closing out that year here in the coming couple of weeks. So tonight on Board Book, there are 2 different financial reports. There is an updated financial report for the 2023-2024 school year, showing that we are anticipating one small piece of revenue still to come in for that would be the rental of the bus barn facility that is comes through in the form of our monthly statement, and so we are in the process of getting that final statement taken care of. So as far as revenues, we do believe that we have captured the majority of the general fund revenues. We don't anticipate any further retroactive revenues coming in the door on that. As far as expenditures, there are still a number of items, as you'll see. Our big one is our final June invoice from First Student. We are still working on that. It was received and needed a correction, so it is in the works. So we actually received that today, but anticipate a few final expenditures on there. So with that, the anticipated ending fund balance for the 2023-24 school year right now is sitting at the $1,027,000, kind of right along our projections. So we're looking forward to closing that out and starting our audit. That we already have our checklist, and our team is working hard to get all those documents together for a November 2nd deadline for our audit work to start. I did add to the 23-24 financials a new page for you that will be included moving forward. That third page is called an appropriation statement. And this aligns with the budget that is adopted by the board and shows all funds. While page 1 and 2 are just general fund activities, the appropriation statement is going to show all funds and the authorized expenditures per major function. And by function, that means what is the overall activity that those expenses are going into. So a major function of 1,000 applies to expenditures that are related to instruction. 2,000 to support services. This will be something that you will receive monthly as well to show that we are in line with the adopted budget at the appropriation level in addition to these detailed sheets. This one for 23-24 has an extra column for the supplemental budget. I would like to not see that again in the future because I would like to presume that we will have a budget that that aligns with the actuals, but however, as revenues could change, supplemental budgets are not uncommon in the process, but I wanted to kind of go over that with you. Second, there is also the first financial report for the 2024-2025 school year. As I mentioned in a communication to the board, there are some pieces still in the works. So on our revenues page, I did want to highlight a couple of key changes here. While the budget was just recently adopted, we have already been notified that our state school fund estimate that was released by the state on March 25th at $38,355,000 and change. The state has modified that, and as of the end of June, they dropped that to $37,795,000. That is a reduction of approximately $540,000. That, however, is an estimate and changes every couple of months when they release new estimates. Their website is public. As school districts begin to report the enrollment and as things change throughout the year, that number will change. We had previously talked in a prior board meeting that we had budgeted a little healthy on the property tax side. That is a way that can help us in the state school fund in that if we receive less than budgeted property tax revenues, it can actually help us on the state school fund formula. So there's a lot of a movement on that, but I did want to show you that we already have received updated revenue projections. Again, this is just the general fund at this point. We are going to monitor that, but we will need to keep that in mind. For the expenditures page of the 24-25 financial projections, we have provided you with our actual expenditures year to date through August 10th. At this point, we have not been able to provide projections, and that is primarily due to the vast majority of our budget being in our staff, and our staff are still being massaged in the accounting system into new roles, new funding streams. As we've discussed, we reviewed grant funding. So we really want to make sure that we provide you the best projections we can. And right now we are kind of have a little bit of a rolling stone right now that things are moving literally every single day. So those projections, it is our goal to have projections on the expenditure side for you at the next meeting. The big thing that I would love for the board to take a look at and certainly question us anytime you have concerns, on those expenditure pages, there is a column for the percent of the budget that we have already committed to. And what is critical to know is that from, say, a payroll perspective, 8 1/3% per month is what we would anticipate seeing out. If we see 1/12, 8.3% roughly per month would be what we see. So anytime I run this report, which quite frequently, I'm going to look at it and say, okay, so why are our charter school payments already at 16.4%? We get a double state school fund payment in July. They received double 8.3, so it's a little bit, off on that piece. We can go down. We can see our function 2310, which is our Board of Education Services, already at 53% roughly spent. That is our annual liability insurance and annual memberships that must be prepaid at the start of the year. Same thing going down, property liability for service area directions. So those are the pieces that we're going to look at and say, okay, is this figure on track logically for when we would expect those expenditures to go out? If we saw that salaries were already at 25% out the door after August payroll, we'd be very concerned. Okay, so that information is there, and then again the appropriation statement at the end showing you the alignment to the budget on that. So as far as additional work, We are really working closely with our schools to maintain the FTE as approved in the adopted budget, and it's taking sometimes some shifts. Today we had many discussions on solving, okay, we have needs, where can we shift, right? That is the answer to it. So really want to thank, as everybody said, not to repeat it, but our administrators are really being as resourceful as they can to make sure our staff have all the supports that they can have. And really want to thank them for their collaboration when they come together and they find ways to meet the needs of our students and our staff within the constraints. It's actually feels great to see the positive on that we actually think we may find some new ways of doing things that maybe hadn't otherwise wouldn't have been uncovered. So just want to thank them for that. So do we have we'll take any questions on that? Yes, thanks.
So two, and they both are concerned with like the budget that we had adopted and the changes since then. So two items, transportation and PERS. I know that PERS has just increased their rate, correct? But did we include that percentage in our adopted budget? Because I think that increase happened after we adopted our budget, correct?
So the PERS rates are adjusted in alignment with the biennium. So our rates actually do not change until July 1 of 2025. However, I was on another session again today. The outlook is expensive. I'll just put it out there. The average PERS increase July 1, 2025 is expected to be 5.4%. We likely will be above that average. Your increase is directly related to the growth of your payroll. Our payroll has grown, and thus our side account, if you think about the unfunded liability, so PERS defines how much it's going to take to fund all of your retirees through the rest of their lifetime. They calculate that. They look at gender. They look at mortality, lifespan. They look at that and they come up with a calculation. That calculation is based on your payroll at a certain point in time. If your payroll increases very quickly, they are going to need to take more of your side account faster. So in essence, what they're needing is us to pay more into the system to fund our future pensions.
Do you know when the date and time is they're taking that data?
So the rates will change July 1 of 2025, and we will know what that new rate is at the end of October. I don't want to misquote the date, but at the end of October, we will learn what our exact rate is for July 1, 2025.
No, I'm just concerned that they're taking data from when we didn't have.
Correct. The data is actually part of the dilemma. They are looking back. So right now, the projections are using the calendar year 2022 figures. So again, the delay in that, so there's an actuary company called Milliman. They are the actuaries for the PERS system, and they do these analysis. It takes years to get that data, and so we are definitely, we know that there are additional increases to come. So our July 1, 2025 increase is going to be difficult. Our July 1, 2027 increase is actually even more concerning.
Okay, and then transportation, I know that First Student's working on getting their new contract signed. How is that going to affect us when they do that? They're unionizing. They're working on a contract
yes.
right now. So are we, when do we sign our contract with them for the school year, and that we're not be affected from a budgetary?
So the contract for the 2024-25 school year is signed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, but yes, we are aware there are different pieces going on. We've been in contact because they are advertising for other areas in our region, and we've talked to them about our concerns about that. But yes, costs of transportation as well, you know, these external costs that are required. I mean, there is no way around, you know, the power increases, the transportation, the PERS rates. So we need to continue to plan for long-term stabilities.
Okay. One question going back, dovetailing off of what Josh asked about with the PERS rate increases. So let's say it's 5% in July 2025, and I'm not putting you on the spot to hold your number. Are we talking a 6-figure hit to the budget, a 7-figure hit to our budget, potentially? Like, how big could that 5% increase be?
With our, you know, salaries being, you know, in an $80 million budget, and our salaries are certainly over 50%, more in the 70% range. Let's just say $50 million, a 5% increase, you know, you're talking $2.5 million cost.
To the budget? That, in that?
To maintain existing PERS benefits. I want to be clear, I think 5% is very low.
Yeah, that was the average they put it.
That was the average. The PERS system has seen the average payroll growth over the last 2 years of 20%.
Just trying to like fathom
Yeah.
what that could do financially to us, you know, here next year when we're trying to really dig out and normalize and get into a more normal budget pattern.
This is a very hot topic at the legislative level.
Very hot.
How is that
Superintendent
sustainable unless they increase
Yeah.
the school fund? I mean, let's call it out, you know, it's unsustainable.
How are we supposed to do COLAs for the next round of bargaining with teachers when we have an extra bill looming over our heads like that?
That needs to be a consideration because the exponential impact of a COLA increase and then going to what will probably be well over 40 cents on the dollar benefit cost. Right now we're at about 35 cents on the dollar benefit cost. If it goes up even just 5%, 40 cents on the dollar is a very high cost. That 40 cents on the dollar is before health insurance cost. We are 40 cents on the dollar for taxes, PERS, and unemployment and workers' comp. That does not include health insurance costs.
Thanks for the rough estimate,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
I appreciate, again, I'm not holding you to it, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
fathom it in
yeah,
my mind.
Yeah, this has been a huge topic of conversation for superintendents with the governor's office, and you know, talking about the current service level, and you know, really they've updated that figure recently, but we still have to be really cautious, and we have to be very methodical about how we move forward. But I do think they are aware of the complications, and you know, some of those unfunded mandates that districts have been given. You know, for instance, the unemployment, that the state didn't give us any money, or, you know, it's just been, those things are really difficult to process. And so, you know, budgets need to be predictable in nature, right? You can't,
Right.
you know, when your car breaks down, that's a problem, and it's a $2,000 transmission or whatever. I mean, that's what school districts are dealing, that's a silly analogy, but that is what school districts are dealing with all the time is, you know, things that we didn't predict and that we don't have a lot of control over sometimes. And so we have to make sure we build those systems into our budget so that it can manage that.
The importance of reserves cannot be understated. I am extremely concerned for school districts that have site accounts as of July 1, 2027. And we can get into maybe a little more detail on this, you know, in some workshops. I'm attending a session in November that is 100% focused on PERS and school districts and how we need to prepare, because this is not an optional, this is a direct cost to all payroll.
I would like to go with you to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Even if
and
it's
thank you
not
for
the
the third page and the percents. That's really
Yeah.
helpful. Very transparent for not just us, but anybody who's trying to look in.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate any feedback. I know it's a lot of data, but at this point, I feel like that's the way we'd like to present it. And if, we're always looking at ways we can do things a little more easy to read than starting to get out the magnifying glasses and stuff, but we appreciate any feedback.
Allows us to digest it a lot quicker and to catch those things. Like you said, if it's September and 25% of payroll is already there, you're like, we have a problem, so it's easy to flag, okay, where we're tracking or where we need to pay really good attention to.
Yeah, it's
Make
good to have that
adjustments.
percentage there and for us to ask and you to tell us on those
Mhm.
things that, are one time or twice a year or whatever, and so that, why the jump. Okay. Under discussion items, we've got the board activities and budget calendar. And Debbie sent that out to us. Do you know, Ken, do we need to formally
Adopt
adopt this?
Yeah,
I mean,
at
we've
some
adopted
point.
our regular meeting schedule, but.
Yeah, this is, I think this is your first reading of it. It's
Yeah.
just a draft. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you have any concerns, please let us know and we
Yeah.
can work through those.
So it looks like the ones in yellow are conflicts, right?
Or they've been
Well,
adjusted.
they've been moved, and the explanation
already
is why
moved them.
they've been moved.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
got it.
The only thing I could see is the March 24th, 2025, I think that is during spring break.
Okay.
That's just something to kind of keep on the radar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look that one up.
But all the other ones look like they've been adjusted accordingly, which is great. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. We'll check on that one.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts for
That's
the next
that's
time
all.
we see it?
I'm just looking, oh, there it is, the budget committees, they're there.
And that one on the 24th is also a work session, so we could see if we can easily move that.
The holidays are something that I think you guys have discussed in the past, so it looks like you guys already took care of that.
Mhm.
I think so.
Yeah.
Other than
And did
the
Kim have,
25th of November.
did you have input on the budget committee?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I chose those, while I would have liked to have had them earlier, being a new biennium, I am a little bit concerned when we're going to find out what the funding is going to be for the next biennium. So I proposed those with the potential that we could be able to look at, the actual budget hearing in May if we wanted. I do see we've got it listed as June. That may be wise. But yeah, anytime there's a new biennium, sometimes it's nice to pump the brakes a little bit and see what it actually, what those estimates look like as late as
Traditionally,
we
they
can.
talk like it's important, but then they make it the last thing they fund, so.
Yeah.
We have our fingers crossed for a different approach this next biennium.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
So I just have one question here. On November 25th, 2024, that is a Monday of Thanksgiving. It doesn't bother me. Is that, I don't even,
There's
didn't
no
see this.
school, so we don't have
That's-
school that week, I don't think.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed. Is that an issue? It's a work session. I don't think it matters.
I can check on that one too, Josh. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Finance Committee update. Well, here's the deal. I fully intended for us to get a couple of volunteers and form our Finance Committee it's a sub-board committee. I have to admit, I've got reservations when we're missing 3 board members tonight as far as asking for interest in volunteers tonight.
Well, I have a question, and question based on what you just said. So in the past, well, we haven't had a finance committee in the past.
No.
Never mind.
Okay.
My question is for 7C.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree, if we're
Yeah.
not all
Yeah,
here.
and this is a board subcommittee, and we can just appoint a couple people, but it'd be good if we had people's interests. So I think we'll push that onto the workshop agenda
But we're still trying to have, like, the policy committee, a few people.
Well, this is finance committee.
I know
we're
that.
talking about. And
So we have.
Policy's the next one.
Well, policy, we had a couple, we have some principals
It's a
involved in
larger
that.
team.
So for the finance committee as well, are we trying to find other people outside the board or just a standing board?
No, this is just a board
Okay.
committee.
Gotcha.
The finance committee is a board, the policy committee isn't a board committee, it's a administration.
And that's the question that I had, that we might want to call it a work group. I mean, in the past, we've called it a work group to distinguish it from committee, because committee is in policy as a board subcommittee,
That
so.
was probably my
Policy would be
confusion.
a superintendent work group.
Yeah, superintendent work group is what we called it, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that, but something
No, that's fine.
Probably
different.
wise to
Yeah.
change the title of it.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so everybody fine with pushing B to the next meeting?
Yes.
As far as finance committee, take care of that then. Okay, and then the policy committee update, Kim, that's yours since that's administration.
Yeah, we've already got several people signed up to be on that, including 2 board members. And I think that's going to be a great team that, takes policy and looks at it and gets those updated. Tony and I will serve on that. And, we've got several admin, we've got a couple parents that have agreed to join us. So we've got a good team together, and I think that'll be a great working group.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. The Legacy Health nursing contract. I don't have my notes here. Who's?
I think it's Brandon.
Who's,
It's
is that
Brandon.
Brandon?
Brandon?
I'm going to have Kim start us off.
Okay.
So we're coming to you tonight regarding the nursing contract that we have with Legacy Health. We have been actually doing some research on this. It turns out we have been partnering with Silverton Hospital at that point since 1995, and the current contract that has been that is being used has been in place since 2006. And annually since 2006, that contract has been renegotiated to provide medical nursing services within our schools. We're bringing this to you tonight as we've shared with you in the past. We are looking at our procurement steps, and we are bringing this to you tonight in accordance with the board policy regarding special procurements. We are legally required to provide school health services and school nurse services to assist a child with a disability and to benefit from special education. Again, as I stated, Silver Falls, we've contracted with Legacy Silverton Medical Center, which was formerly the Silverton Hospital Network, for these school nurse consulting services since 2006 in the current contract. The most recent agreement was for the July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 term. And staff intends to study in detail the specific need for nurse consulting services in the future and the best means of procuring these services. But at this time, staff recommends the renegotiation of the existing contract with the incumbent contractor, Legacy Silverton Hospital, for 1 additional year while this review is conducted. Board policy requires board approval, or LCRB, Local Contract Review Board, that is specified in policy, for purchases of goods or services in an amount greater than $150,000. This contract would exceed that amount, and thus we are here tonight asking the Local Contract Review Board to approve a special procurement under Section 13 within the administrative regulations, the ARs for this policy, DJC. And it allows for a special procurement under the following. The district may amend or renegotiate contracts with existing vendors, service providers, or other parties subject to the limitations of this rule. The district has determined that valued engineering, specialized expertise, public safety, and technical complexity do not generally apply to this special procurement procedure, and the renegotiated contract falls within a current special procurement procedure. Again, this information is on the document on board book, most of it coming directly from board policy. So Again, staff believe that an amendment or negotiation of terms under Category 13, and we are recommending the board approve the special procurement of school nurse consultant services and authorize the renegotiation of the existing contract with Legacy for the 24-25 school year.
Question for Kim?
Yeah.
What's the current cost of services now?
For 23, 24, or what we're looking at for 24,
Well,
25?
both, 23, 24, and then what we're looking at for this
So
year?
this past school year was about 500,000, and we're looking at about 300,000 for the next school year.
300,000, okay.
We've
And-
reduced it similar to other areas. Yeah, but it's still the legally required amount.
Given that's a legal requirement, the other question I have is, does the state give any extra funds for this legal requirement that they've set forth?
Not that I know of. So
comes right out
the
of
state
state
has
fund.
requirements based on the level of acuity with our students in the district. So for our students that have complex medical needs, they have you need this many nurses per X number of students.
And this could this tie into the high-cost disability reimbursement at all, or no?
Sometimes there's overlap, but it's broader because
Okay.
our nurses are more managing like health management plans. There's some direct services, some delegated services and things like that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Josh, you have a question?
Well, I'm just going to be honest about some concerns I have. And it's just the financial situation the state's put us in. You know, yeah, I'm looking, so I have a report here. We're following the law. But from what I understand, we're going from 3.9 nurses down to 2.5 next year, correct?
Yeah.
2.5 nurses for over 3,000 kids.
Yeah.
Now, the recommendation by the state is that we would need to have one nurse for every 750 kids, regardless of acuity. And I'm just 2.5 nurses on a crazy work schedule. I'm just worried about them. Is there no grant money available for healthcare? I mean, I know our budget concerns, everybody needs help. We're talking about kids with medical conditions. And I'm not asking you guys to change a budget. I'm just trying to this is important. Oh, I had another question. Do we have AEDs in schools, like defibrillators?
AED,
Okay.
yeah.
Just making sure. So this is where we're at. We're at 2.5, and there's no way to probably change that, right?
Yeah, so the 2.5 nurses is what the state
Yeah.
says that we need based on our level
Okay.
of acuity for the district, yeah. But then there is, to your point, it's not a requirement, but a recommendation based on overall population.
And I know that we do train some of our secretaries to help out with a lot of this too, or front desk staff, the classified staff when the nurses aren't present, like they can give kids pills. Are they allowed to administer insulin or no?
So the shorter answer is it depends.
Okay, if they have this license, like they got trained,
Yeah.
essentially.
But by and large, we don't want non-nursing staff to be doing diabetic med admin. I think it's just too risky.
Generally speaking, they don't want it either.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and nobody else wants to.
Speaking, having a
Yep.
lifelong
Yeah.
secretary in the school.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brandon. That's all I had. It's just hearing earlier the report from PERS and other stuff. The state needs to help. It's time.
Question about the motion, because we don't have a motion on the agenda.
Yeah, we didn't have an
Yeah,
action
we do.
item for this, so I was
Yeah.
surprised by that.
It's on there, but it's.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, the motion itself.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
I want to
saying?
be able to describe it. So
Right.
if we move to authorize a special procurement to renegotiate the existing contract for nursing services with Legacy, is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. It's just that this one's kind of, there's a lot of words there, and I'm just trying to fit them together in a sentence that makes sense.
So are we also looking for other sources or just redoing the contract with Legacy?
I think at this
Both.
point, sorry.
It's both, right? It's procurement this year and renegotiation, correct?
Yeah.
But
Correct.
just with Legacy, no other possible third parties?
At this point in the summer, I mean, we don't have enough runway to be able to find another option.
Okay.
We are looking into other,
No, I'm saying for next year.
yeah, we are
Yes.
doing
Okay.
that. Yes, we are. Even like, we exploring hiring our own folks, but Legacy has a really great system of, they sub somebody in if somebody's out, which is really very clever and helpful.
Yeah, and so for us, I think, especially with the reduction in overall nursing, short of taking it all in-house, I think, which logistically would be, for 25, 26 school year, that sub piece is a game changer for us.
Oh, I guess I do have one more, because we did talk earlier, but this is for the public's benefit. And it's something that is important to me, and I have to remember, like, okay, Josh, that was something you did. Not everybody has to, but it was our health occupations class. And to my knowledge, Mrs. Sheets, who was here, was a nurse. Not only did she teach that class, but she also doubled as treating a lot of these conditions. So she was one of the 3.9, or was she separate from that, from last year?
So for last year, separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to my knowledge, she's not here, and we don't have a replacement, and we're working on trying to get that program filled / running. Where are we at with that?
So in past years, that health OC position at the high school has been included within the Legacy nursing contract. Last summer, in talking with Legacy, both them and the district felt that it would be good to kind of split those, because that Legacy contract is really for the nursing consultant positions, and that's a teaching position. But last summer, we had kind of agreed, hey, it might be kind of difficult to find somebody. She's been teaching it. We'll have it be in the contract for this coming school year, but then we would split. And so I know that the high school admin team is now working with Legacy to find a health OC teacher for that position.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
As a procedural recommendation for a motion, on the second page of the synopsis.
So do you want to make that motion then?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I was just going to say that's a good way to use
Thank
it
you.
for the motion.
Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. Anything else concerning the Legacy Health contract? Okay. The Silver Falls School District UMC CTP lease agreement. Brandon, looks like that's yours too.
So, yes, so we renegotiate our contract with the United Methodist Church in Silverton. They house our community transition program, students 18 to 21 receiving services. So this will be our third year with them. And so, I think we were due for an update, given that we were using much more of the church than we had originally, just with more students coming in, more students with higher needs. And then also too, they've been very gracious with us this last school year, giving us more access to the church, but I think we needed to update that agreement. And so the lease per month has gone up, but I think that, again, for us has been a very successful partnership and something that we want to continue.
What was the previous figure monthly, and what is the
It
new
was
figure?
$1,500 a month. It's $3,000 a month.
Sorry, what was that?
$3,000 a month for next
So
year.
it's going from 1,500 to 3,000?
Yeah.
How much facilities you use over there?
Most of the church.
Most of it?
Yeah, I think even at $3,000 a month, it's still a
Yeah,
really
I
good
was
deal
just
for us.
curious.
And
I
the
knew
proximity.
layout there, so is it most of the classrooms and everything?
Yeah, and the proximity to downtown, being able to walk to most
Right.
of the job sites
Right
and
across the
community
road.
experiences. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other? Okay. Community eligibility program. Kim?
Yeah, so, we have the opportunity to provide free meals for all of our students next year under this community eligibility program. It's a really great opportunity for all kids to eat in the district, and we think it's really important to provide that for our students. We did have some budget concerns based on some feedback Kim received during a meeting at OASBO. And I'm going to let Kim talk a little bit about that, because I think she has a better frame of that for you. And then, it's just something I wanted to discuss with you. In any other year, I'd say just do it, because I think it's an amazing program for kids, and I think it's a real win for the community. But she does have a couple of concerns, so we just wanted to chat with you about that.
Yeah, so shared information about, you know, some of our concerns over the past months on the program. And, you know, one thing that there's absolutely no concern over is that this is what's best for students and families. That there is no question there. There is indication that this will, could, but more likely than not, come at some increased cost to the district. While, again, no question on the benefit, we just want to be transparent that there could be some added cost. Now, there is an economy of scale. If we see a very significant increase in participation, we very well may make up that additional cost. But it is very, very difficult to know what we will see. We were provided some excellent, you know, figures of, you know, in a K-5 grade band, what percentage, if it was no charge for all students, what percentage of students would eat. So you're looking at it and saying, okay, at this school you might see a 10% increase, and at this school you might be able to see up to a 12%. This school might see 20. This one probably only has 4% to give. So, you know, you're working with that and trying to estimate how many students would take advantage of the program. So what I did is I took an analysis of, had we been able to implement it for the 23-24 school year. Again, we were not eligible for the second portion of a CEP. There are two pieces to it. There's a federal and a state piece. We were not eligible for the state piece until April. But had we been for all of 23-24, our cost would have been $60,000 higher, or our ending number would have been about $60,000 more expensive. I want to be clear that, you know, as we've shared, this is a program that the revenues do not cover the expenses right now. So what I'm basically stating is that our revenues would have dropped by $60,000 had we implemented this last year, further increasing our deficit. While I haven't fully reported on it, my early numbers are looking like the program revenues versus expenditures are going to possibly be about $400,000 apart just for 23-24, that our expenditures are approximately $400,000 above what our revenues were. So that number could have been probably $460,000 had we had CEP in place. However, for $60,000 to feed absolutely everybody in this community, if we focus on that number, I feel like that's a discussion we should be having. I think our taxpayers would support something that helps every student in this district. But it needs to be put out there that there are some unknowns in a program that we're really working to analyze and figure out how we can bring our revenues and our expenditures closer together.
Do we have a handle yet? I mean, I realize, Kim, you're relatively new into your position. Kim Kellman, you're brand new into your situation. Do we have any kind of a handle yet on why we have that wide gap, and is there any hope of us closing it regardless of this program, but
100%.
but closing that $400,000 gap?
The gap is due to what we've seen district-wide. It is staffing expenses. Not only the cost per hour for a staff member, but also increased staffing. So we're very thankful for help from Sodexo to analyze our program and look at how we can maybe serve our existing, meet our current needs in 24-25 with a reduction in staff costs. They've been able to identify approximately $150,000 in staff reductions for this next year through, unfortunately, there was some reduction in staffing, but we were able to reduce staffing while still serving the same number of sites by consolidating preparation and doing more of a delivery model and looking at a couple of pieces. So we are very pleased with the work that was done. It's very hard to do, obviously, but we did already find some reductions in our expenditures side, and then just looking to figure out, essentially, how can we improve our efficiencies to serve more meals without burning out staff?
We did take significant input from classified union members, and Paul Scoville gave us some really good input, and we will continue to utilize, and we have meetings with lead cooks coming up pretty soon. He's going to meet with them first, but I think that using that collaborative way of working together and utilizing them as a resource to help navigate some of these things so that we can offer this really important program to kids. So we have already been working on that this week, and so it's been a pretty significant lift, but we feel like we're headed in the right direction.
Now, we last year had the 400 gap, right? Am I right? Okay.
Yes, we're still waiting
I
on
mean,
some.
on round figure,
Yep,
I
exactly. We're
realize.
still waiting on some revenue, but
Yeah.
yes, unfortunately,
Right.
the 1-year gap appears
So-
to be roughly 400.
So when we budgeted, what did we budget matching that? In other words, both revenue and expenditure side? Did we,
The 23-24 budget or the 24-25?
the one we're working on now, the one we're.
The new one.
So the 24-25 budget was built needing approximately $500,000 support into the food service
Okay.
program.
Okay, so,
It's
so
in
in
there.
other words, if.
It's in there,
It's in
yes.
there.
And this is one of those big ifs.
Big
But
ifs.
if some of the things we're talking about here, we can squeeze down that gap that we've already put in budget, then we hopefully can be in a better position at it. What I'm getting at is then the 60,000 becomes more, I mean, you're right, wholeheartedly, 60,000 isn't a lot when we're talking about feeding everybody, but in our budget, 60 cents is a lot.
Exactly.
And so, so what I was trying to get around to is if in foods itself, not having to take it from somewhere else, but in foods itself, there's a good chance we'll make up more than that 60 even, hopefully, over what we budgeted.
I believe we are going to see families take advantage of this program. I believe we can communicate and I hate to use the word market, but we can inform our community of this program.
Gotta push the product.
It really removes some barriers, I believe, to students participating if everyone can have the meals. I don't believe it's going to be an overnight, explosion in participation, but I do believe we will see a steady increase in participation. We'll find ways to, really encourage families to utilize this. Their taxpayer, dollars are going into this program, to start with. So let's utilize them. I really. It's a very tough situation because my heart says absolutely we need to do this. There's no question. There is that caution. That we're all very conservative right now. But I don't believe there would be a devastating financial impact by implementing it. I want to be transparent that there could be.
But it's the unknown. We don't know
It is
till we
very
see the
different.
participation.
So a couple little aspects, if I'm hearing you right. The number one is the more that participate, the less there would be less of a deficit. Actually, would pay for itself. If more and more kids participate, it would be a neutral impact. Correct? If based on the 2 grant funnels that we have.
Assuming we can make sure our staff have the efficiencies they need to be able to serve an increased production.
Right.
We need to take care of our staff to make sure they have the equipment they need, that they have maybe the layout they need. We've spoken with some other districts who have offered to come in and look at our facilities and help us, how can we just maybe operate differently within the resources that we even have? Are there, resources that we can afford to invest in right now to increase efficiency, right? A one-time investment of product is certainly, if it helps our staff be able to meet production levels, those
Yeah.
are definitely wins.
Yep. I
And
think,
there are some grants available for, supplies and different things, equipment.
Sure.
Those come up in the spring.
In the
So,
spring,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we will definitely be on the watch for those, and we will put those in next spring.
I think the other thing too, that maybe we can, now that we're renegotiating with Sodexo, is putting the onus to them to improve the quality. So one of the things that I hear from the kids is they don't participate because the quality isn't there. And how do we ensure that the quality is there? And put the onus back on Sodexo if they're going to be our provider. And we want to see this benefit extended to the rest of our community, then let's have good product. Because it can be done, right? Now, I know we're resource constrained and staff constrained, and I say that kind of as an idealistic statement, but I do believe that they can focus on improving the quality to ensure better participation with that, because that is one of the biggest complaints that I do continually hear from students.
And to know that the community does give us that feedback might be helpful in promoting that quality, because that is very true. And we don't have to go with Sodexo every time.
'Cause
So,
we're doing a one-year deal with them right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just a
There you
one.
go.
Yep.
a question, so would students like have their ID cards would be their lunch ticket, basically?
That is another piece of the efficiency that we are examining, is how can we assist the entire process of recording meals while meeting very strict food service program guidelines. So again, that was part of another OASBO session that I went to, was different ways that you can count meals while ensuring that they are still reimbursable. There's a lot of details to that. If a student doesn't have all the right pieces on their tray, you don't get paid back for that meal.
Right, it has to have a grain,
You have
it
to
has to
have
have a
it.
fruit. has
So
to
we have to be
have
very
parts.
cautious of what leaves the line on a tray to make sure CEP does not actually cause unintended costs.
Well,
So-
one thing that I see at the high school that I work in is that students think that, because we participate and it's wonderful. It's wonderful when everybody can eat. That is just really amazing. Is that students think that they can't get lunch if they don't have their IDs. And that's actually not the case. They can ask for that, but that is like a common misconception. So I would think that, that would be part of that marketing piece. I mean, that's a little operational, but I just wanted to
But those
throw
are the
that out
details.
there.
feedback.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions, Kim Dowd. I'm trying to find it. I've been looking over here forever. We used to have expenditures and revenues for food service, and I don't see it. And, because I thought it was way more than 400,000. It was like 600, maybe 22, 23. The disparity between revenue and expenditures for food service in the district has been off for a long time. Is it not on these to track?
I have not expanded yet to all of our other funds, so that is definitely a goal for definitely the
So,
September board meeting.
Much harder question. Account balances of where balance dues. Total, do you have an estimate? Is it close to $60,000?
For our food service unpaid meal accounts. I just recently asked for an update on that, and their estimate is it's closer to $100,000.
So there we go. I mean,
We
that's,
would, the implementation of CEP would eliminate the need to, some administrative burden of tracking those and trying to collect those.
point.
All students eat regardless of their meal account balance, that is a law. And so being able to eliminate some of the administrative oversight of collecting revenues from the families, the deposit process involved in all that, the student, tracking every student's balances and sending out reminders. There are definitely some benefits on the saving time for our staff side.
yeah, it's a personal thing for me about like personal responsibility. These are people that do not qualify for free or reduced lunches. And Like, if we have an opportunity to do this for all the kids, I feel like we should do it. I'm not saying now, obviously, I agree with your guys' decision right now. This is me complaining about people think they don't have to pay when they can. And that affects these kids who would like a free meal. The other thing I like about this program is it creates this level of, this even playing field. We're all gonna eat the same meals. We're all gonna try to do this thing together. There's no one that's above or below. We're all eating the same food. I love that. Now, I do know that there's some other districts, like one right next door to us, Mount Angel, that they just do their own food. And I know, granted, they're a lot smaller than we are, but I know there's districts around that don't have this issue that we do year in and year out. So I'm glad we're reaching out to some of these, maybe at our size. But I remember when I was a kid here, I could have swore we were cooking our own food. I miss the taco salads and the sloppy joes. So I know that, I don't know if that's something we can look into as well, but you're also talking, that would probably require equipment. But
I think that's a larger conversation, but
Yeah.
I think that, what I like about that is that you could incorporate fresh fruits and vegetables that are
Mhm.
grown in our neighborhood and that are,
Mhm.
it helps our community, people who are growing those products. I like that ability to be able to partner with local, farm to table, different things like that. So those are discussions that we've had, and we will talk about the quality to our Sodexo agent and look at that a little bit. But-
Because what Josh is expressing has come from a lot of different people. So again, motivation.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of it too in the history, like, has come with a lot of the regulations that have been, changed even since, we were back in school, and that's changed a lot over the last 20 years, and having to monitor that. And my understanding too, and I could be wrong, is back when we did our own food service, I think our deficit was even worse. Am I right on that?
I don't have that
I think
information.
we had budgetary issues even back when we were running our own food service. So this problem has been a problem for, dare I say, probably more than a decade. Do I even say decades? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never been to my knowledge, an area on the budget line that's ever been really in the black. It's usually been in the red. So,
But there's districts out there that are in the black.
That is the key, and we've actually, those are some of the districts we've really focused on, is
Yeah.
what are you doing right? So they actually took our data and they looked at it and they were able to point out to us some of our flags. There's guidelines of how many meals per labor hour, you should be calculating these kinds of things. And so, while we are a very unique district due to our geographic setup,
Yeah.
that needs to be a factor in this, is that we don't have all of our schools within 5 miles of each other that we can just have one big kitchen and drive it all. Driving food out to Silvercrest or Victor Point may not make sense, right? However, there are ways, I think, that we can create more efficiencies to help our staff who are working tirelessly in those kitchens. We can review all options on quality service models, and we're just actually really looking forward to it. And while it may or may not be in the black, having predictable costs that we can budget for is key, I think. So.
Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good discussion. So it seems like we're generally in favor.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And is
If
that
we
what
can,
you're
yeah.
Yeah.
looking for from us, you two?
Yeah, we just
Is
wanted
it consensus?
We just wanted you to chat about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to vote on it.
No, there's nothing to
No,
vote
you
on.
don't need to.
Josh, I really appreciate your comments. I
So-
think that they're really
So,
helpful.
It's just tough. It's just tough, It's
that was
a hard one.
Good point about the unpaid bills.
Yeah, really good point.
Kinda.
Can you guys look at other districts and see what they do with their policies with that
I
and
can
compare?
tell you from my experience in another district, like, it was the same exact scenario.
Yeah.
You had a group of people that couldn't pay every year. We went in the red every year. And the only recourse you have is to turn them over to collections, and that's just not, I'm not doing that as a
But
superintendent.
doesn't the district already do an analysis on, there's a financial form or a need form that gets filled out, or is that done by the county?
So there's a federal form for free and reduced lunch, and it's difficult to get people to fill it out sometimes. There's stigma attached to it, and it's not a very friendly form, to be honest. It's difficult to fill out, and so a lot of times people are hesitant. You know, the form creates a barrier, I think, sometimes. And so I think sometimes you have people in that group that aren't paid up because they really do qualify, but they haven't. They either don't have the resources to get to us to get the form, or, you know, there's some barrier, and we try to remove barriers for folks when we're talking about registration and forms and different things, and we try to help people through that process. And so, you know, I think this would eliminate that problem, and I think it's more equitable for kids. I think it also helps your attendance inside buildings. I think, you know, when you can provide really good food for kids, I think it's a draw for people in the community, and I think it helps our people in the community, you know, not have one extra thing to worry about in the morning. And, you know, you're going to send your kids off, they're going to get fed well, we're going to make sure of that. And I think it's a real benefit to our parents and family members. So I think it has a lot of bonuses. I think it has a ton of upside. I think it has a few, you know, things we need to iron out. But I think that having this really in-depth look at it and this really great conversation about it shows that, you know, we're committed to helping kids in the community. And I think that's what matters, is that we center on what's good for kids and what's good for our community.
That's a great point. I appreciate it.
Okay, moving on, the memorandum of understanding with the teachers group concerning class size targets.
Yeah, this is a thing that we do yearly, and we increase the class size targets by just 2 children each in K through 5. And then the secondary were left the same, and we ran this by the union this week, and the MOU is signed by the union president, and so that's just in your packet for signature tonight, Phil.
Yep. Okay.
Is that something we can add to board book?
I think it's on
If
there,
you
but it needs, you need
if
to
you refresh right
Okay.
now, we
Oh.
noticed that just now. We just
Okay.
Oh,
got
okay.
uploaded
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
We understood it was on there, and
You can
Okay.
tell Debbie's not here with us tonight. Really. Sorry,
Okay.
we're missing our Debbie.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
And that's a yearly thing that's looked at in the spring.
Right.
Now, how's this coincide with the, because wasn't this something that we negotiated in our last contract? So that's what the point of the MOU is also because of that as well, or?
Correct, the MOU is an adjustment to the contract.
Correct.
Both groups agreed. Okay. Any other?
I want to see Lori signed it, so we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We'll just, I'll sign it here and we'll be good. Superintendent evaluation timeline update. As mentioned last time, we would, at our next workshop, which is 26, I think, whatever the date is, we'll focus on going through the standards and talk about the goals and the timeline and everything. And Derek has been working tirelessly putting this together and having it organized to lead us there on this August 22nd, 26th. And he even put out a summary statement here for me to read, and I'm just going to read what he wrote because I'm not going to improve on his words. I scratched out a little. Oh, great. Here we go. In preparation for August 26th board session, we ask that you come prepared to discuss the process in depth. Please review the OSBA COSA Superintendent Evaluation Workbook, specifically pages 15 through 23, which covers the standards and goals. We can discuss the standards and change them if need be to meet our needs. If you suggest a change to a standard, please also consider what would be in evidence or artifacts of meeting that standard. Additionally, if there are specific goals that you would like to be considered as part of the conversation, please have those with you as well as performance indicators of those standards. Vice Chair Foxworth, who is not here tonight, will be facilitating our conversation through the superintendent evaluation process, which will include 1, reviewing the OSBA's COSA 5-part superintendent evaluation tool, 2, timeline and action, 3, standards, 4, goals, 5, conversation around targeted feedback and how to implement. And we'll, of course, also be asking Kim's input on the 26th also on some of this. And so, just so that you know what we're doing on 26th, and just so you don't have to depend on your memory, I'll forward this to you.
Thanks, Phil.
So that
Thanks,
you-
Phil.
So you have that too. Okay, second public comment time. If you'd like to speak during public comment and are attending virtually, use the raise hand feature on Zoom. This is for specifics to discussion and action items. If you are attending in person, please approach the public comment table located in front of the board. Do we have anyone? Yes. Please identify yourself and say your connection to the district, and if you're speaking for a group or not.
I am speaking for a group. My name is Laura Beville. I'm the pastor at the United Methodist Church that leases to the CTP program. And so I'm speaking on behalf of my congregation.
Okay, so 5 minutes and Aaron will
Sure.
give you the heads up.
So our church has invited conversation to renegotiate the rent with the school district for the community transition program that is housed at our church. When the contract was originally renegotiated, because we originally negotiated with you guys for the preschool to be in our building in 2021, 2022. So the CTP program joined us in 2022, and they were using mainly the downstairs classroom space, which is approximately 1,500 square feet. Somebody asked that question, so I wanted to make sure you knew that. And this last school year, the program has probably doubled in size, which is fabulous and wonderful, and awesome opportunity for the students who utilize the program. And they've doubled the use of our building also. They use about 3,000 square feet in our building. And so that's why we have asked to renegotiate to $3,000 a month for the rental. But that's the money part. I also want to talk about the how truly wonderful it has been to be in partnership with the staff and the students at the Community Transition Program. Because of our partnership, if you walk through our church in the middle of the week, you will see something truly extraordinary happening. You will see students in our fireside room cooking and learning how to cook and be independent. You will see other students with a mentor learning how to take a driver's license test, things that their parents probably never imagined that they could do. You'll find students who are busy getting ready to go to their job sites around our community. Our church is centrally located so that students can go to their job sites. And a couple of years ago, the first year that they were with us, one of the teachers was passing my office and was heartbroken because their students were not able to go to the Night to Shine, which was in Salem, which is an annual prom event for students with disabilities, for individuals with disabilities, adults too. And so our congregation stepped up and hosted a prom for the Community Transitions Program. And we loved it so much that we did it again this last year, and we will do it again this next spring as well. This partnership has also inspired our trustees to make some meaningful changes to our building. Our churches have trouble maintaining, just like school buildings do, and so we've installed automatic lights in our bathrooms and hallways, so students who can't flick those switches can walk through the hallways. We've widened our front doors to make them more wheelchair accessible. These are improvements that we needed to do, but we're inspired to do by the students that we house in our building. I want to talk about one particular student who is really special to our congregation members. On Wednesday mornings, our church packs snack sacks for the SACA, and children whose parents go to SACA to receive food get a little pack of goodies that's just snacks and maybe a fun item. Sometimes there's earbuds or personal hygiene things for the teenagers, but they're fun things usually. Our congregation has taken a lot of pride in doing that for the last 10 years. And one of the students in the community transition program has been volunteering in that space and has formed really special relationships with the congregation members who pack those snack sacks every week. This is a student who 2 years ago when they first came into our building was shy and didn't really want to communicate with anyone around them, and they graduated from the program this year, and we're going to incredibly miss them. But their parent came up to us the last week of school and said, "Can my student volunteer next year, even though they're not in school?" And of course, that student is welcome. The joy and sense of accomplishment for that student to be able to contribute to something greater in the community is what CTV is all about. So it's not about raising the rent. It's about the meaningful relationships that are formed and the community partnership that we have. So thank you for considering that.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
I would like to say something, Laura. Space is very hard to find in Silverton. If anybody's ever tried to either start a business or looking for something, it means the world that you've opened up your building. So thank you so very much for that awesome
Thanks.
comment.
Yeah, a huge thank you to you and your congregation for partnering with our district. This is amazing work, so thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Do we have anybody online?
No hands raised at this time.
Here? You know the drill?
Yeah. I am in Sabo. My daughter is at the middle school, and I'm a substitute. One thing that came up, I just kind of want to throw out an idea. It would take long-term planning with people that are a lot smarter than me. But before I became a substitute, I was in nursing school when I initially left the military. And clinical sites are in desperate need. So what you may have is an opportunity to fill that gap in the nursing sphere. So we actually went, when I was at OHSU, we went to Jervis School, Jervis School District. And as a nursing student progresses through the program, what they're allowed to do with patients also progresses. So we started with like hygiene, things like that. But in my first year in nursing school, we were giving inoculations. You can give insulin, all that stuff. Now there's obviously a preceptor there, so this is usually the faculty provides them. So OHSU out at Monmouth is where I went. And schools actually like fight for clinic sites. So this could actually be a long-term thing. And then the students you were talking about in the class you were in could also participate on campus. So maybe something to look at with all the schools around here, OHSU, Lynn, Benton, Chemeketa, they're literally, they struggle to find placement for the nursing schools. And it's for their nursing students rather. And again, as they get into higher levels as a senior, you're in your clinical sites the whole time. So you'd really be looking at your sophomores and your juniors. But just something to think about long term. It was, as you guys were talking about this, it might be something worth putting together an exploratory group to explore long term. And again, it will help you. Those students can see the sick kids that just got a buoy, or an owie rather, or a little boo-boo, and they need a Band-Aid and back to class. So just something that came to my mind. Also that came to my mind is, I subbed at middle school a lot. And it may be worth putting together some type of survey early in the school district, or early in the school year, for each of the different schools, because we are geographically distant, on what type of meals the students want. Maybe something online. We used to use online surveys for our soldiers a whole lot. It's like, if you put it online, your kids, I shouldn't call them kids, they're soldiers, we'll click on it, right? And you can get feedback. Yeah, I'd like to, if I'd eat pizza, I'd eat whatever. And you could do the same thing for your parents to find out how many would actually participate. hey, if it is quote-unquote free, meaning your taxes are already paid for it, will you, I know my daughter's eating it, you know, because I don't want to make a meal again in the morning. And then another idea I had come up was when we were talking about the
30
staff
seconds.
shortages, is I would love to see a current volunteer opportunities / need on the city website, or on the district website, where it's like, hey, we need help in the kitchen, we need help. And then if it comes with the required CPR training, maybe once a quarter the district could host that with the fire district, so there's no out-of-pocket expense to multiply those volunteers for you. So just ideas I had when I was listening to you.
Great ideas.
Thanks for
Thanks,
sharing the
Scott.
ideas. Some good ones there. Hey, anyone else? Online, anyone?
No hands raised at this time.
Okay. Okay, action items. Our lease agreement. Somebody got the wording figured out?
I'll do it. I move to approve the Silver Falls School District United Methodist Church Community Transition Plan Lease Agreement.
Second?
It's been, I'm trying to find my cheat sheet where that was. Here we go. Okay, no, I guess I don't have that.
You want to look at mine?
Yep, please. Oh, just.
Yeah, that's all I
okay,
said.
okay. It's been moved and seconded. Has it been a second?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's moved and seconded to accept the Silver Falls School District, United Methodist Church, CTP lease agreement. And vote?
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yep.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Phil.
Yes. Okay, then we have the special procurement.
Yeah, I'd like to move to approve the special procurement of school nurse consultant services and authorize renegotiation of the existing contract with Silverton Legacy Silverton Medical Center for the term July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and second to accept the staff's recommendation that the board approve the special procurement of school nurse consultant service and authorize renegotiation of the existing contract with Legacy Silverton Medical Center for the term July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Vote?
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yep.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Phil.
Yes. Okay. Do we have any future agenda item requests?
Yeah, one I wanted to bring up to maybe put on our radar. I know we do have a bit of a laundry list and we're trying to
Yeah.
get back to things here, but one thing I do want to maybe kick off is a discussion about electronic device use policy here in our district. You know, I think we've gone into a digital age. They're accepted. We're one-to-one with our Chromebooks, with our kids, or iPads. I think they can be channeled in the right way. They could be a very, very powerful and useful tool. However, as we all know, especially of us who are parents, especially in maybe middle school and high school years, I think our kids unfortunately lack the developmental brain function at times to use them responsibly. And this is one that I know it's, we talk about my house, and I'm sure others do too, that I think we need to look at how we can limit the use of those devices in our schools in a very constructive way. And how do we do that right and within policy?
Aaron, I'm going to stop you short here. We're not going to have the discussion item now, but for future discussion.
Yes, agreed.
Put on an agenda. Okay.
I'm okay with it.
So I'm fine with putting it down for the future agenda. to have
So
a
cell phone
discussion
use,
on.
cell phone policy.
Got
Yep.
it here.
It's a hot topic
So-
across the nation.
And when we get to that, or when we do, Phil, I know that ODE's already done some test cases on this we could reference, and
Okay.
I'm all
but
behind what
Like I
Aaron-
said,
yeah.
Aaron, Josh will take care of that.
He just doesn't want the discussion to be now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a discussion.
I understand.
Not the
Have it
intention.
on agenda.
Thanks though, Phil.
So,
I totally get
okay.
it.
I understand.
Okay. Anything else we should think about for agenda other than the ones we've already had? Okay. We are adjourned.
Thank you.